Okay.
Welcome back. Christy Williams is with us. She is the director at CASA. And I know you have an event coming, but I would like for you to start out with, if people don't know what CASA is, tell us a little background on that, please.
CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates for Children in the Foster Care System. CASA began with the idea from a juvenile judge in 1977 who decided they were making a lot of really drastic decisions for children without enough information. And so the concept of CASA was born, where volunteers who have no motive other than the child's best interest were able to speak up and say what's going on with the child.
Yeah.
And so locally, our program in the 14th Judicial District began here in 2000. And so that covers Boone, Newton, Marion, and Baxter counties.
And there's, I'm sure, a lot of kids that are in that system.
Oh, yes, yes. Right now, there's around 70 in Boone and Newton counties, children that are in foster care waiting for their cases to be resolved.
And the idea is to have someone that follows with them throughout their whole entire case, correct?
Yes, we do ask advocates once they're trained to commit to the life of a case, which is generally a year to a year and a half.
Wow.
Some go
That's
shorter,
commitment.
some go
Yeah,
longer.
yeah.
But
And you made a very good point that everybody's trained. Everybody goes through the process of, I'm sure there's background checks because everything needs to be above board, right?
you're right. These children have already been and put in situations that have caused them, trauma.
You bet.
And we don't want to risk furthering that for them. So any advocate that comes to us, their advocates are just volunteers from the community.
Yeah.
There's no education minimum or maximum. There's no age range. There's no ethnicity or gender or any qualifications. You just have to be a concerned volunteer willing to take 30 hours of classroom training. We do initially meet and have a face-to-face interview just to kind of answer their questions and to let us the whole time we go through training, we're kind of vetting to make sure that we're putting appropriate people in touch with children.
Sure.
Right.
So we do that question situation. We do an application with references, so we check them out that way. We also ask that everyone be willing to submit to background checks, which goes all the way from FBI to local, as well as the central registry check. So if you've ever had a true finding of maltreatment against a child yourself, you won't be part of our program because these children need consistent responsible adults volunteering.
Now, when you talk about being a court-appointed advocate, do they, of course, they follow the case all the way through, but is there any interaction outside the courtroom? Do you help in some way?
Definitely.
The courtroom is the minimum part of the activity because what happens is a case comes in and a judge or an attorney says we'd like CASA appointed on this one. Then we find an advocate that fits that. We try and respect the different types of abuse that our advocates can or can't work with. We match that up as well as what the child needs. And once an advocate is assigned by court order from the judge, they then perform an investigation. So it's not just getting to know the child, which we very much encourage. That's a necessity. How can you advocate for someone you don't know? They get to know the child, and then they talk to everyone in the child's immediate situation: teachers, doctors, counselors.
Wow.
If there were any police involved, the parents, the family members, the current foster parents. They just do an intensive dig down deep and find out what's going on and bring that to light in a report that's submitted when the child goes to court.
Yeah.
I want to say, just listening to that, it sounds very daunting, but I know that you're talking about the classwork, and I'm sure that's where all that is explained to them and how to approach that.
Yeah, we have 30 hours of classroom training as well as court observation. So prior to actually being sworn in, the advocates sit through court and see the process and the things that we deal with. And the training, we cover everything from how mental illness affects families to drug abuse. And we usually have someone from our local drug task force come and speak to the advocates in training so that they can get a professional opinion of that. And we have a nationally approved curriculum that we use to train advocates. Nationwide, there's over 1,000 CASA programs.
Yeah.
There's about 24 in the state of Arkansas.
So most, I'm trying to get a perspective of what the children are going through. Is it always a bad home, or is there other situations that they go through without really getting detailed on individual cases?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because confidentiality is a huge thing. You know, we see situations where it goes from newborns, the Garrett's Law, babies that are born where the hospital staff may suspect that the mother is under the influence of drugs.
Yeah.
That child is then tested, and if they test positive, then immediately the Department of Human Services takes the child into their custody. So that's not always their home environment that they came out of. We've had children that if parents are arrested, they're left dependent. They don't have. So it's not always the picture of your house is not functioning well. Sometimes parents are making bad decisions.
And you try, don't you, to let the parent go through whatever the parent has to go to end up with that child back in that home.
Oh,
that's the obvious
and you know, that's the hardest thing for people to understand is even though parent levels may not match your own, their parenting skills or their parenting ways, that's still their right to raise their child. One of our judges' most common statements is poor people have the right to raise their children as well. The damage it does to a child to come out of their home and go into another home. I mean, just think about the routines in your home.
Certainly, it would disrupt me.
Yes, exactly, to go just pop into someone else's house and just try to fit into their lifestyle. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what it does to the children, because generally they try, the McKinney-Vento law is a law that tries to help children stay within their school of origin in a situation where they become homeless, which these foster children are. And so things like the laws that have been put in place are what we try and train our advocates to watch for, that can be of use to recommend to the judge that because of this law has been proven, you know, the information has been brought and this weight heavy enough to make a law about it, then there's some background for leaving a child in the school that they came out of, because that's one piece of stability and familiarity to these kids.
Okay, you have something coming up.
We have a training class coming up. And we've just asked that anybody who's interested get contact with us. It is 30 hours, and I like to say, you know, there's never a convenient time to decide to step up and juggle your schedule and make training classes. But these kids aren't in a convenient situation, and we can either ignore that they're going through this, or we can come alongside them. And yet that takes some sacrifice on people's part, because 30 hours of training to squeeze in can be an adjustment to your schedule.
Sure.
We are going to do trainings in June. They'll begin on June 9th. We're going to do some Thursday classes from 5:30 to 8:30. Then we'll do some Saturday longer classes. We're going to wrap up our training by June 25th. And we're just really excited. We've already got some people that are ready to step up and do it. We have 16 advocates active locally.
You need more, though. I mean,
we're serving probably 30 to 40% of the children in care right now. And nationally, CASA has a nationwide goal of every child having an advocate by 2020.
What happens to those kids that don't end up with an advocate?
Well, you know, the statistics, we report yearly how the cases go that we're on. And statistically, the children who are in care that have an advocate spend 50% less time in care. Permanency, we don't just mean let's get this done and check some boxes and get you back in the home. We mean let's make sure that your home is ready. And up to par to keep you there. Permanency means not coming back. And, you know, it's hard on these kids. I have heard children say, I don't want to commit to that school activity because I don't know where I'll be next year, or I don't know if I'll be here the whole year. So their lives are kind of on hold, and they're not getting to enjoy the full experience and growing in confidence and all of the
Right.
things that our children are getting to do, unless they've got more people around them. Now, the Department of Human Services is working hard to reunify families and to provide services to help families become stable. Unfortunately, the caseload is just high.
Yeah.
And so we keep our advocates with 1 to 2 cases so that they're able to do a thorough job
Right.
and assist. We do work with the Department of Human Services when possible to give them a heads up on things that they might not know is going on.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So, oh, go ahead. No, you had a question.
I was just going to ask how, unless you want, I was going to wrap up the interview.
Well,
and get
I
some
wanted to
contact
see,
information.
yeah, the
Go ahead.
contact information and how people can sign up or whatever.
we have our program email address is info@casa14.org.
And
You-
14 is the 14th.
14th Judicial.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
14th Judicial District is our district. It is, our office number is 870-743-2212. And this training coming up is for Boone and Newton County.
Okay.
Baxter and Marion County are having a training as well in June. And we have information about that also.
All right.
If anybody needs it, you can get it from our office.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Christy,
for the
Thanks, Christy.
opportunity
Yeah.
to share this.
enlightening us.
Appreciate it. Great information. If you'd like to be a part of that, it takes a lot of commitment, as Christy talked about. There's more information at the end of the show that you can jot those numbers down, or just give us a call here at the office. We'll be glad to
Again,
pass
that class will
information.
start June 9th.
9th. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Christy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to talk to some kids from this upcoming production of Cinderella. We're going to do that in a couple minutes, and they'll be right here in our studio. Stay with us.